Good morning and God bless y'all, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about from Robert Duncan's book Project Soulcatchers. The chapter is called Lock and Key Mechanisms for Brain Pathway Bioamplification. The question that most baffles the common citizen who has yet to experience the electromagnetic virtual reality: why don't I feel anything standing next to a person who's being targeted? That's a good question. He's also going to go into the precise timing of the pulses and how they electrocute us in the room and shock us and torture us. And all. Then he's going to go into some other stuff too. But he's going to start out with that on how they shock us and stuff, and somebody next to us not get shocked. Because your family members might be like, "Well, I'm not. I'm in the same room. I'm not getting shocked." Rightfully so. I'm going to come from Proverbs 15:3. But first, I'm going to tell you about a lesson I learned this week. When somebody, I almost fell for the trap, but I didn't. If somebody says something negative about you that you know is not true, don't waste your time and energy trying to prove it. Or if you post something about what's going on with your targeting and somebody posts a comment on there calling you a liar or doubting you, don't waste your energy. You're going through enough trouble and torture as it is than to waste your energy on something as minute as that you know is not true. So don't even defend yourself. Oh, anyway, Proverbs 15:3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. So he's watching. He's watching. He's got something for the torturers. Okay, let's get into this information. Lock and key mechanism for brain pathway bioamplification. The question that most baffles the common citizen who has yet to experiment the electromagnetic virtual reality is, why don't I feel anything standing next to a person who's being targeted? If a brain cell can be tampered with by electromagnetic energy, why don't people go into convulsion due to all the cell phones and other noise? It's actually quite a remarkable feat that it can be done at all, but it very much requires having the exact right key and timing to hack a mind. Let us start out with some basic concepts. If you put high voltage across anyone's head, they do go into convulsions due to electrical current influence the neurons, ions, flows, and such. If you put relatively strong magnets and pulse them next to a person's head, it influences neurons and firing patterns, and definite changes can be viewed under a functional MRI. Microwaves at certain frequencies have been known for a half century to influence neurons both in the petri dish and in the brain. So we have several mechanisms that affect everyone. As a weapon to be used over a broad area against anyone, microwave weapons are effective and go under names like ADS and Medusa. So one possibility of how individuals are targeted with radio frequency synaptic amplification weapons is the use of directed energy. We know that meteors and missiles can be tracked all around the world with exact precision at very high speeds. It is quite feasible to do it all to objects and reverse the received radar pulses to send energy to that very precise spot, which is called time reverse echo. However, this is not enough technology due to the frequencies that are needed. Beam widths of large phased arrays still occupy almost a square kilometer once they bounce off the signal of the ionosphere and back to the Earth. This means everyone in the square city's block is bathed in the same signals. Why can one person receive the signal and others standing right next to them cannot? Drum roll, please. Precise timing of pulses is how the trick is done. Unique human brain signatures are yet another key to the locks that must be opened to target a single mind. The timing of the pulses must exactly coincide with the end of a neuron's depolarization. The Air Force accidentally misclassified and released research related to finding more UHF and microwave frequencies that release neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters release only occur at the end of the axon. See the diagram below. It's a very simplified example of why the precise timing of the pulse train specific to each individual and the microcircuits allow the Department of Defense to target any specific individual for war purposes or covert use to instigate war and violence. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep reading, and I'm going to hold this diagram up with the phone to the camera while I'm reading. I screenshotted it because when I tried to print it off and put it up there, it just was too blurry. Okay. Okay. All right, look, here we go. Okay, I'm trying to get where I ain't got a glare. Okay. All right. The bit streams act like an encrypted message that only a single unique human brain with exact physical patterns can interpret, whose brain will amplify the signal. This is the basic concept behind the CIA's synthetic telepathy capability, biocommunication, reprogramming, brainwashing, and the cloning Army psychic warfare unit. None of it can be accomplished without speed of light feedback of the signal's influence. Network A, and if you look right there, that's A, I got on the screen, is an amplified example of what neural network might look like for a small feature. Each box represents the basic unit of a neuron, which acts as an amplifier and the threshold comparator. If an electromagnetic pulse of energy exactly provided during each network, a bit stream key, only the brain which holds the unique key due to the physical architecture variance could bio-amplify each of the small electromagnetic nudges to cascade it into an externally stimulated fire neural pathways at the end. Notice that the red lines do not align at the neural networks at the moment, and there's no red lines on here because the book I got is black and white. Simply neural network B streams are unique, and it would be extremely improbable that it would match network A. So it's basically saying everybody's got neuron pathways, and they bump into each other as they're getting attacked. But everybody's pathway is different, so that's how they attack different brains. And I'm going to take that down right now. Network B's bit stream are unique, and it would be extremely improbable that it would exactly match network A's. In the above example, the probability that another network matched another the same size with frequency resolution is 1 out of 2 in 36. That's like 1 out of 2 times 36. That's extremely improbable given current human populations. These unique variances in human brains are encryption keys that allow one to dial in a specific individual and brain function. In a couple instances, you can see that the pulse lines up network A and B in order to create any significant amplification, and it gets better. I know this is boring stuff, but it gets better. Amplification, thousands of neurons, if not more, need to be exactly pulsed without a single one off alignment before the electromagnetic signal can gain enough influence in the brain for entrainment. In other circuits of brains, it merely adds noise that is filtered out. On top of the unique fine structure of the neural networks, the initial timing of the beginning of the sequence must be precise. So even if you had a perfect brain clone, the brain's bit streams pattern need to be aligned with the beginning of some timing signal to instigate them. In the government test subjects who have been interviewed and examined their entrainment patterns to create synchronization necessary to begin the correlated bit stream keys. Strobe lights, binaural beating effects were used to create the brain entrainments, and hypnosis and old CIA mind influence research. But the same effect can be achieved through any other methods. Many targets of this kind of experimentation say they can hear a 3.3 hertz sweeping sound, a constant pulsing tinnitus, and see a very slight flickering in their vision. That is synchronized with the other two auditory perceptions. The reason for this is that the neurons have an opportunity window to be affected by a magnetic electric field, whether ion, cyclotron, resonance, catalytic reaction, or other methods. The computer neural interface can detect when the neural bit stream key has been successfully aligned and amplified by the feedback of neuron depolarization that comes right after the pulse signal as an echo into the change of ion speed concentration and electrical conductivity properties and evoke potential. This is a type of brain echo effect. Radar pulses using the bit stream key is sent to the target brain, and if it hits it right along with the others, a few microseconds later, an evoked potential should be detected. This indicates that the brain key is being accepted. This is an important feedback mechanism because if another brain begins to accept the bit stream keys meant for someone else, then it is detected and the power level can be turned down and other adjustments made so that there's no crosstalk between neural links. Or, if they see that, hey, it's hitting that person too, but that person's supposed to be thinking you're crazy, so they'll turn it down until they can get you. That's a rare case, is what they're saying. Like, it's a rare case where they'll be hitting you in a room and your direct energy weapon attack will hit that brain too, because y'all may have this, which is rare. These bit stream keys are categorized and subcategorized. Each one represents a brain resident or a state that was achieved. There are templates that can be replayed into the target mind. As the brain mapping process proceeds, other bit streams fall in place into the whole cognitive model faster and faster, like when coming closer to completing a jigsaw puzzle. The beginning of cognitive modeling is the most difficult part. One aspect of this technology first demonstrated in the 70s by the Stanford Research Institute was the ability to find the bitstream keys associated with phonetic and understanding. It is far more accurate than a sound voice recognition system, and in the future will be far more efficient way to communicate to computers. The bitstream for the understanding of the phonetic sound can include many sub-context streams, such as physical movements of the tongue, mouth correlated with auditory amplification of those frequencies when initially recorded from the subject. This allows for voice-throwing ventriloquism tricks covered in later chapters. It is an essential capability for spy missions and clandestine operations, and with even further refinement and processing, just the bit streams that convey meaningful words can be played without the other associated substreams, and true synthetic telepathy between humans and machines and other humans is achieved. Pretty cool, huh? No. We just have to plead with the agencies and military to give up the secret weapon and let the creators show them what wonderful, incredible things we can do with it. This is Robert Duncan talking. There are 6 billion brains on this planet, each with nearly unique bit stream keys for every major function. So in order to hack a human brain, you need to auto-correlate all the bit streams and map them into a cognitive functional model. It doesn't change all that much after the age of 23. So once mapped, the human cognitive model will be stored for future use, influence, spying, etc. The interesting calculation to perform here is that the average human bit stream of consciousness is somewhere between 2,000 and 2 million hertz, depending on the number of neural communication channels and neural firing resolution desired for the network. Most neuroscientists look at EEG waveforms, which are almost entirely below 2,000 hertz. However, when you include the phase information, the slight timing effects of firing and related groups of neurons, the bit frequency would need to be increased significantly to resolve the differences. So one can say the entire human race's collective consciousness operates somewhere between 1.32 terabits to 1.32 pentabits per second. Brain bandwidth, time, population. The entire entity, often called the geosite, can be put into supercomputers and stored for eternity. The computing power here is here for sure. Now, interesting to note, most of the government facilities that have the resolution and sensitivity to collect this data from brains, such as the Brazilian and Puerto Rico ionosphere heaters and the ion sonads, aka over-the-horizon radar, aka mind-hacking radar, usually operate at 450 megahertz and below. These radar systems use an incredible number of radar imaging techniques simultaneously, including a 1-second frequency sweep radar, a fixed frequency, pulse mode operating across the full spectrum, and many more. They're capable of tracking changes in ion density created from particles of less than 5/100ths of a microgram and traveling at 60 kilometers per second. Think about how small and difficult that is. The facilities have had this capability since 1960, with the first smaller version available in 1948, a year after the formation of the CIA. The cover story used for having so many of these meteor observatories has 2 layers. The first cover story mentioned is that they're used to study the ionosphere, and if you penetrate that story, it's said to be over the horizon radar for the Continental Ballistic Missile shields. That too is another purpose, but is also capable for more ominous uses described in this book. And I hope y'all found that interesting. And if not, I thought it was kind of boring, but you're trying to, well, why ain't it hitting me? I'm right next to you. Well, you can tell them. I mean, that's a really scientific way, and I really thought, well, I took a chance on this video because I don't know who will like it and who don't. I find it interesting because I get hit with direct energy weapons, and I have wondered why. Oh, well, I wonder why he ain't getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, how the hell they burning me up, but not burning this person up? So I thought it was a very interesting breakdown. Anyway, as y'all know, I got a lot more interesting videos. I just thought that would answer some people, or I just wish I could have figured out a way to put it easier. It's basically, and to break it down easier, I just thought about it. Everybody's got different brain signatures, and they map out your brain. So if they ain't got the person in your house who's not getting hit brain mapped out, then he's not going to get hit, he or she, whoever. So that's really the easy way. I'm sorry for going through that scientific way. And I hope it helped y'all. And I think tomorrow I might be talking about the hive mind. I have some really good stuff on the hive mind that I found. And um, I don't know if I'm gonna do that or I'm. Oh yeah, one more thing. Well, I'm gonna do a separate video on that one, and I'm gonna do that probably later on. It's just gonna be a short video, and it's gonna be a quick word about AI and what's going on right now that I've heard, and it's really gonna be devastating, devastating news. But I don't want to put it in this video because I done went over. But God bless y'all, man, and I hope y'all have a good weekend. Um, and remember, if you are getting hit in the head, you can try using a Ziploc bag. I don't have it with me; it's in the other room. A plastic Ziploc bag, a half gallon. You want to double bag it, fill it with water about that much, and when you lay down, you want to spread it over your head and over your face and cover your whole face with it. It helps tremendously. If you have to walk around the house though, um, what I recommend, what I do, I get a towel, not a big towel, but a mid-sized towel. I cover it in cold water. I wring it out enough where it ain't going to drip, but keep water in it, and I walk around with it over my head. It helps tremendously, tremendously. So anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a good weekend.